Hey, it's Tess. I'm back and I'm still working out of this Outwitting the Devil book. This is a really good book. And like I said, it's probably been 3 years since I listened to it. So I am going to keep going through it. And it just keeps reminding me of things or, where was I at the first, second, third time I listened to it, or where am I at now? Because I'm actually looking at the book this time. And it's really interesting because I see, like, even myself, how I've changed or how we've learned or how we've moved forward. And the thing I'm going to talk about today here is, and my mom always hates when I say this, but I was raised very similar to Southern Baptist. But that really makes sense in that my mom, sorry, my printer over here is going crazy. But my mom grew up in Southern Illinois on a farm, and it is very similar in practices of Southern Baptists. They call themselves non-denominational. It was the Church of Christ, but it wasn't, they didn't call themselves Southern Baptists, but a lot of how they operated mirrors what the Southern Baptist religion is. But the reason I say that or bring that up is when I'm looking at this Outwitting the Devil, I kind of went back to the beginning, and it was talking about what is the number one thing that the devil uses against people to take control of their minds, so to speak. And it's interesting because you can see this happening all throughout life. And he basically talks about that there are he uses fear, and the fear that he uses, there are 6 fears that serve him well. And those fears are, says the devil, one of my cleverest devices for mind control is fear. Fear of poverty, fear of criticism, fear of ill health, fear of loss of love, fear of old age, fear of death. And I know that even myself, I've operated under fear for a long time. Now I'm understanding and moving forward to the best of my ability and trying not to hold on to things. But fear is a big thing for many of us. So I started looking into this, and I was digging further into the book and what kind of tools do they use. And the one that hit me is one that I do remember a lot, and I've talked before, my mom loved horror. She loved Twilight Zone and ghastly, ghouly things and stuff like that. But Twilight Zone, I never, ever liked Twilight Zone. But I never liked Twilight Zone because it did weird things like if you wanted money, somebody you loved had to die. If you touched a monkey's paw, something weird would happen to you. It always had these like weird things. And so it made me start thinking about like old wives' tales, because I actually in college wrote a book about superstitions, because my grandma had tons of superstitions. Like if a child was laying on the ground and you walked over them, she would make you walk back over them and around them, because if you walked over them, you caused them bad luck. So you had to undo the bad luck to walk over them and then go around them. My grandma also didn't like black cats, so boom, I'm so sorry. But my Boone is not a solid black cat. But my grandma, and I just did it to appease her, but if I was driving down the road, and this is a woman who lived on a farm who had 39 dogs and more cats than she could count. But if I was driving down the road, I can remember one time I was with her. I was driving down the road, and a black cat went in front of the car, and she made me stop. She made me turn around. She made me put X's in the 2 corners of the windshield and go the other way. Did I appease her? Yeah, because it wasn't worth upsetting her about, but she had a lot of superstitions. Some of them are legitimate, some of them aren't. I've kind of mentioned that when I got an eye infection, I used Sovereign Silver. And that was like a natural, holistic method of healing that I used because of my family. But I'm going to tell you there were some of the remedies that weren't so good, because I had a lot of ear infections as a kid. And my grandma would take wax paper, a warm washcloth, and she'd put it on the wax paper. She would attach it to my ear that had the ear infection. She would take a big hunting sock and pin it to my head. And the doctor goes, yeah, it would relieve the pain and encourage the growth of the infection. So some of the stuff, you have to research and investigate. Some of them are beautiful. Like I said, I just recently got rid of my eye was so infected that it was closed and I couldn't open it. It hurt to open it. And I pulled out the Sovereign Silver and put the drops in, and that totally cleared it. Again, I'm not medical. That was something I did and something I remembered as a child. But it was, some of them work great. You just have to research and know and try to find out what was it that triggered people to start using them. But I digress. So I'm sorry, and I'll get back on track because I've been having internet issues. They're going to come out and work on it for me again. They got to get some more parts, but just in case I start having trouble again. the thing that hit me about fear, and the reason I was talking about the Twilight Zone and beliefs, is that there's an actual part in this book. Actually, I'll even tell you. It's on page 90. So if you ever get this book, page 90, it says, it talks about the idea that that money causes you to be evil, and it kind of refers to the Bible of, do I have the exact passage? Anyways, what it says is, the actual passage or verse in the Bible talks about the love of money is the root of all evil. Now, the catch is, like they say, for the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. So it's not that money is evil, it is the love of money. So what that kind of made me think about is that I had a hard time for a while coming to a point where I understood that having money only amplifies who you are. If you are a selfish person that doesn't want to help other people, you will just be more visible. And actually, I'll say thank you, because if I know that's who you are, you're not my people and you're not my circle. But if you are a giving person, then that's more amplified because you can help more people. And I see that in the circle of people I'm around, like the people that I follow and the people that I learn from, and the things that I want to do are about solve other people's problems, and then things will come to you. So it's about service. Go out in service and give your best stuff away for free, and service, and then what you need will come back to you. So it is about, money is not evil, but the love of money is evil, and it just amplifies who you are. So you can, it's like somebody put that in a post recently, just today actually, and I responded to it. They put down what is one good thing that money can do for you? And my response was philanthropy. And it was probably like halfway through, and somebody said, finally, somebody said something positive. And I think it's just that I think many people probably thought the same thing. But the problem is we're so programmed to think that it's evil that we automatically assume the worst of people, and we don't know how to word it. So I think, like, for me, I want to continue to talk about the idea that it isn't money that's evil. It just amplifies who you are as a person. Well, hi, Miss AC. Good evening from California. You're right. It's about bedtime for me, but I wanted to make sure I went live. And since the internet seems to be holding out, I wanted to do that. But I love this book. And I remember loving it the first time I read it, the second time or third time. Because that's one good thing about Audibles. I love Audibles because I can listen to the same thing and I get through it faster. I can listen to an Audible 3 times to where it would have taken me to read it once. And a lot of people have told me, I'll give you another trick. See, I'm digressing. I'm so sorry. But when I first had to convert from hard copies to Audible, the way I did it is, and this is probably one of them I did it with, I had gone to Secret Knock and they had given us like 30 books. Shayna, good to see you. Oh, you got my book? Well, take a picture with you in my book because I'll add it to all the rest of them. I love getting pictures with people in the book. So thank you so much for buying that. I appreciate it more than you'll know. And if you go a couple pages in, you'll see a picture with me, Doc V, and Chris that I put inside the book. So thank you for purchasing it. I know AC purchased it and she sent me a picture. So thank you. I do appreciate you guys so much. So now I'll go back to the book. How did I get to a point where I could listen to Audible when... Oh, thanks, Shayna. When I was one of those people with a hardcover book. The way I did it is I came back with like 30 books from Secret Knock. And when I wanted to start reading them, I knew it takes me a long time to read. And it's like I had to dedicate time. But I walk. And when I walk, I like to listen to something. And I thought, well, why don't I listen to books that will help me so I'm getting... It's almost like the infinite banking policies. If I'm listening to an Audible that's on self-help, as I'm walking, I'm improving my health, I'm improving my mindset, I'm improving my knowledge. So it's like paying the bank 3 times, which is what our IBC policies are. We create the banking system with the specially designed whole life policies. We fund them. Then we use the cash value to invest somewhere else to bring that money back in. And then we just keep recapturing and recycling. Well, it's kind of what I did with an Audible. That is my way to utilize or to use the ability to learn at the same time that I'm doing something for health. So the way I did it is I had a book And then I bought the Audible. And when I first started, I would actually sit down with the book, because they're word for word. If they're abridged, they're word for word. And I would follow in the book, word for word, as the Audible was going. And what it allowed me to do is to train my mind so that I would focus on the book, because in the beginning it was hard for me to focus, because words are like, oh, well, I can dance to it and move on, but I couldn't focus on it. But the way I learned to focus was that I had books, I bought them on Audible, and then I listened to them. And it worked really well for me, because I took the Secret Knock books that were given to us for free from the authors, and I purchased them in Audible, and then so I only paid for the Audible version. I got the hard copy for free, and it is what I did to train myself to use Audible books for those that aren't using them, because it was a hard transaction for me. And now I will go back. I have been talking about Outwitting the Devil. I love this book and this idea, and I had forgotten, because it's been at least 3 years. I had forgotten about the passage about the devil. The actual verse in the Bible talks about the love of money. For the love of money is the root of all